Do you think landlords should be open to being lenient on rent in a crisis like this, pending proof of lack of employment? Why not? My landlord in Seattle offered to defer rent if need be. I like her. Seattle's mayor just banned evictions for the next month. Pointless. Trying to evict someone takes months and adds cost when you factor in any legal fees. That's just the mayor winning favor due to the public's ignorance. My country did the same, but also froze all property taxes and mortgage for 3 months to pass coronavirus. Did they also freeze the interest on the loan or just payments? Yep, also the interest. It will just stop and resume after 3 months. For rent you are supposed to pay it, but if you can't you can get in contact with the government and they will cover it, or negotiate to push the rent for 3 months like with loans. The landlord can't kick you out during this time. We don't have strong protection laws about the renters if you don't have a rental agreement. Also they introduced laws to stop companies and individuals price gouging and medical producers exporting without a special permit just so there isn't any shortage on our country. First time is a massive fine, and if repeat you have to close for 6 months of business and more extreme measure will follow. All non-essential businesses are to be closed. Clubs are live streaming the parties lol. They also issued a weekend mandatory quarantine and ban on all personal cars. Friday to Monday all need to stay home. All work was cancelled. It's been crazy, but we are a small country, and having 46 people confirmed is scary. Our government is very shitty, but they are handling this very well. Stay safe. PR looked at. The government issued a new law that after 6 PM, if you are outside you'll get fined. This is countrywide. My rent was due to go up $100 this month. Just got a notice on my door that due to the coronavirus, the owner of the property is delaying the increase for 2 months. It's not anything spectacular, but it's something, and I appreciate it. That's really nice honestly. It is. It's a tough one. The landlord might not necessarily be wealthy and their own job might be in peril. We got a notice to vacate because the owner's son wanted to move in 6 weeks. Like 3 days ago. I mean on one hand it's fine, on the other, finding houses is hard enough in the best of times. Add a virus on top of it. It's going to create all sorts of issues. I think you're entitled to compensation. Check up your real estate laws, because in Canada you can't get kicked out unless you agree. Almost certainly not. New Zealand has some pretty shitty rental laws, although the current government is slowly working on it. Think the notice period is going to be moved up to 90 days instead of 6 weeks to put it in line with other things, but it's totally legal, although kinda shit for us. Lenient on rent. My landlord is going to have people in and out of my apartment all week, trying to sell it. They're going to steal your toilet paper. It's entirely possible. The economic effects of this virus will be felt for a long time. Creating a wave of homeless people will not help the situation. Creating a wave of home foreclosures will not help either. If only there was an entity that was supposed to help citizens and prevent catastrophes like this. Yes, like a group of people that collect taxes and help all the citizens in a crisis. Not just the well-off or wealthy. I guess everyone is supposed to be rich, because that's totally possible. It's the first thing I told my tenant. I'm not rich by any means, but I won't starve if she pays 2 months late because of the crisis. P.S. I'm in Italy. The world needs more landlords like you. Thank you. She has a small kid I think is just the least human thing to do. Depends on the bank. Landlords usually have the place mortgaged, so they need to pay the bank bi-weekly. If the banks would be lenient then it would be possible for the landlords to be as well. Then you have to factor in monthly hydro/water if these are included in rent. Unless these companies are also lenient then all this would be coming out of the landlord's pocket. Edit. 1. I'm seeing a lot of misinformed accusations with obvious lack of knowledge. Owning a rental unit does not mean you do not owe money on it. It is likely mortgaged and the rent goes to paying that mortgage for the rental home too. It is a long-term investment. No one is making money from the rent. It goes to pay all fees needed to make it a rental property. Mortgage to pay the bank. Emergency funds for repairs etc. 3. Pretend you own a home instead of renting one. You still have a monthly fee to pay to the bank unless you own it outright, which means the bank says fuck you, pay me. 4. I live in Canada and these are the rules that are needed to be followed if you do not want your mortgage defaulted on. And landlords aren't all megacore. Some landlords own one property and are also eating shit on the monthly cash flow. Ask me how I know. Edit. In my experience, I'd have to drop rent to a low amount to find tenants that aren't fucking losers. It's a nice new condo, but god damn it, the retards I've had in there sucks ass. There are millions of awesome tenants, but I'm convinced that there are far more tenants who are deadbeat losers that I want nothing to do with. They have shitty jobs, their credit is beat to shit, and they have the IQs of goldfish. I'm able to avoid this by renting for $200 less than market. My current tenant is fucking awesome. We should have a system in place that doesn't depend on the charity of landlord to avoid homelessness. When the shit hits the fan, some landlords will be lenient. Some won't be able to afford to do so. Some can but won't help. But as a whole it won't make enough of a difference. I'm a landlord and fall into the won't be able to afford to category. I'm not a corporate owner. I simply started renting out my home when I moved out. The rent covers the mortgage and that's about it. I'm not making bank on this. Tenants don't pay rent. I can't pay mortgage. I could swing it for a couple months maybe, but that eats thousands of dollars into my personal savings. Maybe I should be more generous. That's very possible. But it's all a lot more complicated than landlords are greedy. Although I'm sure some are. I've done my fair share of renting, and some landlords suck ass. Everyone advocating for a temporary halt on rent is also advocating for a temporary halt on mortgage payments and interest accrual. Well, if the house that is rented is mortgaged, if he don't get paid if can't pay the loan, then the bank might do it anyway. But in all fairness, the banks need to stop all payments of loans for a month so that extra money circulates around the economy. I understand that would have drastic effects on the financial institutions, but food in the mouth and a roof over the head has to come first. It is kind of weird that someone has to suffer, and it will end up being the people who have the least. I would appreciate any business, person or company that makes an effort to split the suffering. I think this time is a bit different. You already see some strange companies stepping up with paid time off and other deferments, such as Uber and Walmart. I think it's because they realize they have to. Homeless people don't come back to work, much less shop. This entire situation is a big fucking deal, and the fact that gig companies are ponying up for contractors to take a break should tell you a lot in today's business climate. In the US, some 80% of folks are paycheck to paycheck. Most businesses and companies aren't shit without 80% of the population who currently works suddenly dissolving. Everyone needs to realize we have to get through this with as much of us intact as possible, or we won't get through it. That includes your business / rental property / whatever else. It's good PR from a company's perspective, since we're gonna probably be in a lockdown like Italy soon. These companies know that if they offer worker benefits, that the workers will be more likely to return to their same job, as well as the general public seeing these companies in a more positive light than before. San Jose's putting a pause of evictions due to loss of hours due to corona. I'm all for it. But it's not like they won't still owe the rent afterwards. Puts the renter in a huge hole. But they still will have a place. Landlords are kind of screwed. Wonder if this means the bank and or new owner can't evict in a foreclosure too? Some landlords won't be able to pay pretty quickly. Sucks all around. Ideally the landlord can apply for mortgage payment deferral too. And everyone is, well, less screwed than they could be. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.